If you ever wandered into Peppa Pig's house and climbed up into the attic, you might find something the family has never mentioned. There's another toddler up there, George Pig's twin brother, Oscar Pig, and the family never acknowledges him, ever. Sounds ridiculous? Good, because the clues say otherwise. Let's find out what's really hiding in that house. This all begins with something that sounds completely normal. The Pig family has a loft. In the episode Musical Instruments, Daddy Pig casually mentions,
Mummy Pig and I found this old box in the attic.
Fine, lots of families store old boxes in the attic, nothing weird about that. Then, in Playgroup Star, he mentions it again.
Sure, I put it in the loft.
He climbs up there and starts pulling things out.
Ah, here's my old school bag. And here is my picture.
So the loft exists. It's used for storage. It holds old childhood memories. Daddy Pig's things from when he was young. Totally normal. Except here's what's weird. When that hatch opens and Daddy Pig is up there, we see toys scattered around. Not just his old school stuff. Actual children's toys lying around in the loft. Now, you could argue those are just Peppa and George's old toys that got stored away. Kids outgrow things and parents put them in the attic. That part makes sense. Or does it? Peppa and George are still young, they're still playing with toys, they haven't outgrown anything yet. Peppa's still at playgroup, George still carries Mr. Dinosaur everywhere. They're not at the age where their parents would be packing away their childhood. So why are there toys in the loft at all? Not boxed up, but left out like a child was just playing with them? And here's where it gets even stranger. The power cut episode. The lights in the pig house suddenly go out. Everyone shuffles around for a moment, and then the power comes back on. End of problem. No one panics. There's no confusion or looking into what caused it, which is weird, because if your house randomly loses power, most families would at least ask why. The family doesn't. They act like this sort of thing just happens, almost like they're used to it. Now, where does wiring usually run in houses? Up top, through the loft. So if there was a child up there, moving around, fiddling with things, causing the occasional blackout, this reaction makes a lot more sense. The power goes off, comes back on, and everyone carries on because this isn't new, which suddenly makes that loft feel less like storage, and more like a place they already know to expect trouble from. If George Pig didn't act so wildly out of character sometimes, the twin theory probably wouldn't exist at all. This isn't about George being naughty or funny or just a toddler. It's about how often he feels like two completely different children depending on the episode. Most of the time, George is shown as the quiet one, soft-spoken, emotional, glued to Mr. Dinosaur, and usually happy to follow Peppa's lead. And then, every so often, a very different George shows up. Take the episode George's Friend. When Richard Rabbit comes over, George refuses to share his toys. He's direct, confident, and oddly firm for a character who's normally portrayed as gentle and unsure. That same energy appears again in the episode Edmund Elephant's birthday during the parcel game. George grabs the prize, fights Zuzu for it, and keeps the medal. There's no confusion or panic, just competitive, determined behavior that feels miles away from his usual on-screen personality. Then there's the Baby Piggy episode, where George enjoys being treated like the baby, until baby Alexander arrives. The attention shifts, and George's mood drops instantly. This isn't toddler confusion, it's clear jealousy. He knows exactly what's happening, and he doesn't like it. And if all of that still feels explainable, the Big Build episode pushes it over the edge. When Daddy Pig tells George he can't go with Mr. Bull, George doesn't sulk or cry quietly. He screams, he shouts, and throws a full tantrum so intense that Daddy Pig changes plans just to calm him down. This isn't shy George. This is loud, stubborn, forceful George. A version of him we rarely see, but when we do, it's extreme. And then there are the moments that really don't line up. Take the ice skating episode. George starts off unsure, wobbling like you'd expect. And then suddenly he's gliding around like he's been training for the Olympics. This is the same George who usually struggles with basic things. It just doesn't make sense. These moments aren't small inconsistencies, they're sharp personality flips. One George is gentle, clingy, and unsure. The other is possessive, jealous, competitive, and explosive. That's why this point matters, because when a character switches this hard, this often, and with no explanation, people start asking questions. And one of those questions is impossible to ignore. Are we always watching the same George Pig? Or is this another quiet hint that there's more than one toddler in that house? Okay, so there's a mysterious loft that nobody explores. Fine, lots of houses have lofts, but here's where it gets weirder. This house is absolutely overflowing with children's things. In the toy cupboard episode, the Pig family realizes they have so many toys that even after buying a brand new cupboard, there's still not enough room. Mummy Pig finds toys piled on beds. Daddy Pig finds the toy basket completely full. Mr. Zebra finishes building the new storage unit and admits some toys still won't fit. And it's not just the volume, it's the variety. Dinosaurs, teddies, dolls, cars, and building blocks. The kind of collection you'd expect from a household with more children. Now, you could argue that Peppa, George, and Evie are just spoiled. Fair point, kids accumulate stuff, but here's what makes it weird. The show keeps mentioning that things are being stored upstairs, in the loft. The same loft we just talked about. The one that's full of toys that Peppa and George haven't outgrown yet. If there's a second toddler living in that house, someone the same age as George, someone who needs just as many toys, just as much space, suddenly all that extra stuff makes perfect sense. The house isn't just messy, it's overcrowded, and the family keeps shoving things upstairs, out of sight, like they're trying to make room for someone we never see. So if all this evidence is pointing to a hidden child, the big question is, who is he? Most fans initially thought a missing middle child, someone born between Peppa and George who mysteriously disappeared. But that theory has massive problems. If Oscar were a middle child, where are the baby photos? Where are the birthday episodes, the playgroup scenes? Peppa Pig is a show that celebrates every little milestone, so why would an entire child be completely invisible? The middle child theory forces you to explain why Oscar was born, raised, and then somehow erased from the show's memory. It requires a whole tragic backstory the show never hints at. It doesn't work. But what if Oscar isn't older or younger than George? What if he's the same age? What if Oscar is George's twin? Suddenly, everything clicks into place. Twins arrive together, same birth, same age, same size, same toddler chaos. And here's the thing, one George already pushes the limits of the show's format. He cries. He's obsessed with dinosaurs. He needs constant attention. Two toddlers saying, "Dinosaur!" at the same time would break the show completely. You can't have two George. The episodes would be unwatchable. The family would never get anything done. The entire format would collapse under the weight of double toddler energy. So the twin theory isn't just plausible, it's practical. The show picks one twin to feature. George gets the spotlight. Oscar stays off screen. Not because something tragic happened, not because he was taken away or erased, just because two identical toddlers would be narrative chaos. George in the episodes, Oscar is in the loft. So who even is Oscar Pig? He's not a real character. He's never been introduced, named on screen, or given a single word of dialogue. There's no episode about him, no toy, no official anything. And yet, fans won't let him go. The loft theory is one reason people think Oscar might exist, but it's not the only one, because there's another moment in the show that quietly sent viewers spiraling. And it doesn't involve the attic at all. It involves a computer screen. In the episode Mummy Pig's book, Peppa and George play a game on the family desktop. When the scoreboard appeared, fans noticed something odd in the player's initials. The list shows the usual suspects, but at the bottom of the list, OOP. At first it seemed random, maybe just filler from the animators. Background noise, nothing important, but fans started digging deeper, and they found the unexplained details we've already discussed. Suddenly, OOP didn't feel so random anymore. Think about it, this is the family computer, the one everyone uses, and family computers remember things. They hold on to old profiles, old accounts, old usernames that nobody bothered to delete. If there's a second kid in the house, even an off-screen one, the computer would know. And here's the kicker, OOP has the lowest score on the board. Even at video games, Oscar can't catch a break. So what's the truth? Is Oscar the upstairs twin, the chaos twin, or just a fan creation that took on a life of its own? Drop your theory in the comments. And if Oscar had one word like George has, dinosaur, what would it be? And if you want more videos breaking down censored scenes and hidden details in kids' shows, make sure to subscribe. We've got plenty more where this came from. Thanks for watching.